Hello everyone, this is Mr. Taylor. I've received several questions about in-class writing 8, making attributions and citations, and so I decided to put together a video to show you somewhat how to do this assignment and how to locate sources. It is not lost on me that APA is new to many of you, and working with evidence and sources is somewhat new with regards to this specific style guide. So I understand that. The purpose of this assignment is to take 4 sources that are given to you and provide an example of an attribution, an in-text citation, and a reference citation for each source. So that's 4 total. You're just going to type this up in a document and submit it to this Dropbox. Something that I want to point out with regard to sources, and we're going to get into this a lot more in depth when we embark upon research, whereby we will be working specifically with evidence to support claims and to support a thesis statement you have for your own research you're developing. But for right now, we're just learning how to incorporate citations and how to incorporate evidence into our writing where we are now. So the main thing is just to learn that there are basic rules in APA for how to cite things with one author, 2 authors, or multiple authors. So the first thing you have to know is how many authors are there in your source. The second question you have to ask is, what type of source am I working with? Am I working with a journal? Am I working with a court case? Am I working with an article online? There are so many millions of different types of sources that you work with in APA, and what makes style guides a little bit confusing and detailed is that every single different type of source has a different way of formatting, and we have to adhere to the parameters of the style guide we're in. So those are the questions you ask. The first 2 examples I'm asking for each source are relatively simple. All you have to know is the year of the publication and the author. So I've typed up a dummy draft here, so I'm going to jump to source 1, and I'm not going to put the actual author's name in here because I just want to provide an example. I want you all to be able to go out and find the details you need to actually provide these examples. So I'm going to say that, let's say source 1, author's last name is Murphy. It's just one author. So to make an attribution, for instance, with a verb, we can say Murphy 2021. I can't type right now. Let's see, Murphy 2021 points out that that is a simple example of a attribution with a verb. You've got the author's last name, the date of publication for the source. Keep in mind we write in present tense most of the time where we're pointing out basic ideas of a text. And that's all I'm wanting to see, is that you know how to write an attribution like that. You can also do this with a title if the author is unknown. So the title, date of publication just the same in parentheses, and a similar formatted sentence like that. You don't even have to put a complete sentence. You can do exactly what I'm doing. That's an example of an attribution, and this is how we start signaling the use of a source in our writing. Another way you can do this is the most common that we talked about in class, and that's incorporating a general in-text citation at the end of a section whereby you're relying on a piece of evidence. So here, if we know that the author's name is Murphy, or the author's last name is Murphy, we would put the name, the year of publication, and that's that. Now, the in-text citation can include more information. The idea is to be as detailed as possible so as to help the reader locate that source. So say, for instance, you know the page number, you can put the page number, but most of the time what we see is this. So that's attribution, in-text citation. The more detailed information that you're going to find is in the reference citation. So all reference citations are located at the end of the paper or at the end of the academic work in the references section. The attributions and in-text citations clearly occur within the body of your text. So these 2 different types of citations signal to the reader that you are relying on a piece of evidence. And if they wanted to find more information, or the location or the year or the journal title or any other information that stems back to that original source, they would find it in the reference citation. And so the reference citation is the one that you have to train yourself on how to know the basic rules of how to format things in different ways for different source types, but to also have a basic knowledge of this is how I cite things for one author versus two authors versus multiple authors. And so with there being so many hundreds of thousands of types of sources out there, it's impossible for any human being to memorize all the ways, all the specifics and all the parameters of how to format each different type of evidence. You have to look that information up. And so to do that in class, I pointed out that you can use APA, Purdue Online. It's Purdue University's online writing lab. They have an APA section that walks you through not only how to look at the basics of making a reference list, like we pointed out in class, or you can look at how to handle in-text citations with one author, two authors, three authors. So showing, basic attributions, but also showing in-text citations. But on this resource, you can also go to reference list and figure out, based on what source you're using, how to format the reference citation. So for instance, in our assignment, source 2 and 3 are both online peer-reviewed scholarly journals. If we were looking up the template, if you will, for how to format that, we can go to reference list, articles, and periodicals. And so it's going to show us how to do this, the basic form. This is a print journal example, but what we're doing is looking at online journals. I've provided 2 online journals, and so this is the format by which you would write that reference citation in just that same way. So what you would do is essentially put that as the third element for each source. Now, I do want to point out with reference citations that I'm dragging something by accident. They must be formatted in the same overall format. So when I say that, you'll see I just copy and pasted it here. It's not indented as it is in the Al Purdue lab. So APA dictates that every line of a reference citation is indented other than the first line. So you're always going to have subsequent lines that are pushed over. So for instance, here you'll see this has been indented about a ½ inch, but the first line isn't. And so we have to start learning how to manipulate these in Microsoft Word. So what I'm doing here is I'm on the second line, I'm pressing the enter key and then tab. That's going to allow us to tab this over, and I'm going to press the tab key here. But then you notice that we have some weird looking space. So this is the importance of what I've been pointing out about how to do this in Microsoft Word. We need to fix that spacing issue so you can highlight this information, right click, and do what we've done in all of our other writing assignments. Go to paragraph, we're going to change our spacing to single, make sure that both of these areas are set to 0 points. Don't add space between paragraphs of the same style. You'll notice this has been the same on every single writing assignment, and hit OK. And so essentially, this is what you're going to do for all the different source types. The one thing that I want to point out is that when you have links in citations like this, it's a good idea to go ahead and deactivate those. I'm just highlighting them, and I'm going to remove the hyperlink. And that's all you have to do. Now, this is where it gets tricky, because something that I want to point out with the sources I've provided, source 1 is simply an ebook and a print book. That one shouldn't be difficult to find. Source 4 is a general website, also not hard to find. But the reality of working with evidence and sources in higher education and in academia is that many of these sources are very high level academically. They are usually not free. In fact, most university libraries pay hundreds of thousands of dollars in subscriptions to specific academic databases that host all of these types of sources, all of the journal or discipline specific journals. The main thing to keep in mind is that most of this research is usually high level funded research. It costs money to have access to. And so part of you being a student at university, at Wingate University, is that they have purchased subscriptions to these academic databases so that you can have access to these different types of sources that would normally cost money. So if you're clicking these links as I've provided them in the assignment and it's not letting you access the articles, then you're probably going to have to make sure you're logged into your Wingate credentials on your device. You need to make sure you're logged into your sign-in, your Gmail, and even then, sometimes it won't direct you where you need to go. And so part of research and part of working with evidence and sources is also knowing how to use the resources you have to find sources. And so what I'm going to do is show you a way you can do that if the links aren't working for you. So what you're looking at here is the Ethel K. Smith Library website. This is linked off of MyGate. You'll notice that it has a general search bar right here, and it also has a way we can filter and limit our search. You can also look down here at academic databases, journals. LibGuides are how to do these things, tutorials and instructions, if you will. So there's a lot of good resources right here. What I've done is provided a direct link to each source. If those don't work, I've provided the title and the author for some of these, or I've provided the title and the title of the academic journal, as well as the date information, so that you can search it via the library's website. So for instance, we know source 2 and 3, by the information I've provided, are articles in an online journal, online peer-reviewed journal. So we can go to the website, library's website, and we can go to journals, and it's going to take us to the journal search option. So what we're going to look for now is the title of the journal. So for now, just know that you can copy and paste the title of the journal, which is going to be here. It's an article in Applied Cognitive Psychology, and then we can search for that particular journal. Here it is. And you'll notice that this journal has been active since 1996. And so there are going to be thousands of issues and volumes of this journal. We're looking for one specific article. And so fortunately, there is a search bar, and we can put in the exact title of that source, of that particular article in this journal, and run a search. And so what we're doing now is we're searching databases, we're searching the resources we have available to find one specific article. And you don't really have to worry about accessing the article right now. We're going to do a lot of this more in depth. What I want you to be able to do is simply format the source. So we know, for instance, online article, electronic article, this is the format. And so all we need to know for this assignment are the pieces that make up this reference citation, i.e. the author, the date of publication, the title of the article, the journal that it's in. We need to know the volume number, the issue number, the page range, and what we call the DOI number. And this is basically a link and a number directly to that source. So you can click on this, but a lot of times in the search, you see everything you need to know here. You've got the volume number, the issue number, the journal title, but you can click on this and it's going to run a search. It's taking us to another library whereby we can find the article. But you have all the same information here. In fact, you have more detailed information here. You've got the DOI number, the publication date. So by simply running an easy search using the library's website based on the information provided for each source, you can find what you need to format the three examples I'm looking for: the attribution, in-text citation, and a reference citation. And you just do something like this for all four sources and submit it to the Dropbox. So let me know if you have any questions. We're going to do this a lot more in class. This is the first opportunity we have to really do this. But then what we're going to be tasked with is how to fit these pieces into our writing and into the structure of our sentences when we're writing. So this is very much a basic task. And so try to capitalize on it. Try to take notes and remember how you're doing it, how you're finding information. You're going to get very much more accustomed to this when we start working in research. But the next paper that we will be writing, the argument analysis, opposing viewpoints analysis, you're going to be citing and attributing the two arguments that you're going to be using for that analysis. And so learning how to use these basic building blocks is very important. Let me know if you have any questions. As always, I'm here. I'll be monitoring my email, and I'll look forward to seeing everybody on Tuesday.